All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Victory Condition Gaming. My name is Doug. Tonight on the show, we're talking GM Forge with Aaron Bentley, the creator slash designer, programmer, everything G.M. Forge is Aaron Bentley at this point. So we're going to talk to Aaron. Also with me tonight, my two other co-hosts and VCG contributors, Josh Melville from Halloweenville on YouTube. Josh, thanks for coming on and time and talking GM Forge with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. And we've got Michael Harrington. Michael, you're the one that initiated all this madness, and I'm so excited that you brought this to our attention because this is a really, really cool product.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to Aaron, and we chat a little bit on Discord, so I'm really happy to meet him in person. Well, virtually in person.
Virtually, yeah. Well, you know,
virtually in person. Hey, I can see you. That's good enough, right?
That's right. That's right. So. Aaron, thanks for coming on the show and talking with us about GM Forge. You've got a big release coming up. We thought we'd feature you a little bit, and hopefully, folks that aren't aware of the GM Forge launch can check it out. But
yeah,
Aaron, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Doug, thanks for having me, man. Like, I was talking with Michael last week, and he just made the connect, and I'm excited we could just do this turnaround real quick because I think a lot of your guys and a lot of your viewers are going to get a lot of, at least be exposed to something I think could be potentially interesting to them. Because if they're into home brewing, you got a bunch of tabletop gaming content. I think they'll like what they'll see tonight. So
I'm excited.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
No. I'm glad that we can all make it work. I will tell folks that if you have any questions for Aaron while we're streaming, feel free to leave questions in the chat. I'll try to fit them in as we can as we're going along. If not, we'll get to them at the end. So, Aaron, let's talk a little bit about you first before we get right into the whole GM Forge. Aaron, tell us a little bit about the Aaron Bentley story. Tell us how you got into gaming and how you became an RPG player and what your background is in computer programming.
Yeah. Absolutely. So long ago, I'm one of those guys who got into programming, pursuing the gaming dream, right? So when I was like 10 or so, I got into this thing called Game Maker, which was like a way you could just make little, 2D based games. And I fell in love with it. I was so excited. It's funny because when I found out I was so into that, you just know it's like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. And so, from there, it just kind of spiraled out. I kind of went into Source and, Steam was coming up and, I got into like Counter-Strike and modding, and then I got into Gary's mod. I made a couple of, moderately successful games in high school. And then, I went to college. I got my degree for computer science. And nice. All the while, I've just been, I program. I program probably way more than I should. I love it. I love the problem solving. I love the creating aspects. And I've always been a big fan of big, story, cinematic experiences that games are really good at providing. And, towards the end of high school, my brother was into the 40K scene, tabletop. Sure. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but yeah, great. I don't even have to fill in the blanks, but yeah. So we collected some models, we played a little bit, and then we found this RPG thing called Dark Heresy.
Oh, nice!
And I don't know if you guys have played that on the channel.
I have not. We have not. It's not a game we've featured yet.
Yeah, and that game was awesome because we were all into the 40K universe and just how grim, dark, and brutal it was. And that game was, it was really cool. And so my brother and I both kind of took up the DMing role. Wanted to dive into it and check it out. And we played. The first few campaigns you always play are hilarious. Mm-hmm. I had like a, you're not so strict on the lore or anything. So I had like this like dwarf in power armor. His name was Glar, and like they blew him up. It was great.
Nice.
And Yeah, so that's really how I started getting into tabletop gaming, is like that connect from the 40K stuff into it. And from there, we got into Pathfinder, we got into, the other expansions like Rogue Trader, which I know is like way more popular than Dark Heresy.
Right.
And then, it starts spiraling out to D&D and then some other systems. And eventually I ended up creating my own for GM Forge.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I actually have released so the nice thing, like one of the things that kind of motivated me about this project is I had written like, 80, 90 pages of solid notes. And I'm like, it would be cool if, I could share the experience I just made for other people. And so that is pretty much the connect to how I kind of got to this phase in life where I'm like, I want a tool like that to exist. And I'm sure a lot of other people do too, because, all us GMs, we spend hours planning and playing. Like,
absolutely.
So, having that effort being, like Josh gets it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure. Do you do a lot of home brewing? Because that I do pretty much exclusively homebrew stuff.
Nice.
I've run a couple of pre-made adventures, and I don't know. I like putting that personal touch on it. So.
Yeah, even if I'm running a module, I will customize it and personalize it to fit either my needs or the needs of the players.
Yeah, exactly. Like no matter, even if it's pre-written, your players will find a way to take it off the rails.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's awesome. Well,
yeah.
Why don't we talk a little bit about what GM Forge is, if anybody is not familiar with it? Give us the 5-minute GM Forge, or 2-minute, or whatever, however minute long you want to give us for a sales pitch on GM Forge.
Sure. So GM Forge is actually a fully offline virtual tabletop that you can use locally or over the internet. So it's an affordable, basically fully functional tabletop that doesn't come with any like strings attached. You pay $25 because why shouldn't you? I basically based it off of like a book, right? You pick up a book, you pick up the software, everybody gets to play. So the software itself is meant to just help you with dice rolling, with automation, and it's really open to that homebrewing aspect I brought up earlier. So the software contains anything you'd expect from like a virtual tabletop, any competitive features such as dynamic lighting, automation, and dice rolling, like calculation that helps you automate your process so you're not getting bogged down by your rolls, character sheets, controlling vision and making new maps, and so it totes some new interesting features that I felt like the other people in this area kind of ignore. I actually made a way to write notes out and then put you kind of step through them like a script. It's funny because it's one of the features that I really like and I really enjoy that I don't think gets a lot of attention, but you can write out notes, conversations, and things like that. So you'll be stepping through your narration and you'll be able to put the narration to chat. So you're not running into those, welcome, but not always, the best when you're the GM and you spend a lot of time on the project, interruptions when players are like, oh, what did he say? Who's that? Something like that. It kind of gives them something to do while they're listening, which actually has been a great help to my group because we don't run into nearly as many interruptions, and it just makes the experience a lot more immersive, in my opinion.
Sure.
So yeah, GM Forge is a fully functional virtual tabletop so that you can pick up any game, any system, toss it in there, and then just start playing.
That's awesome. That's very cool. And now you have a release that's coming to Steam.
Yes.
On the 31st.
Yes. So May 31st, I'm releasing the whole GM Forge integrated into the Steam platform, and that includes workshop support and modding. So, I might not be able to develop all the features that everybody wants, but, all the other tools have always had these communities where, really motivated people get in there and they build really amazing things. And, I don't always have the full vision. And from doing this whole process and being connected with my community and going through the Kickstarter, I've gotten a lot of valuable feedback from the community. And you know, now the tools are there for somebody to do it without having to pay a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about that, because had this existed when I, you know, started it, I would have bought it in a heartbeat.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
When Michael told me about it and he said it was just $25, I'm like, holy smoke! Like, why haven't I heard about this? This needs to be shouted from like the top of the mountains, because it's a great feature and a great product. Now you spoke of the Kickstarter. Michael, you mentioned to me that did you jump on that Kickstarter, or was that something that you came into after the fact?
No, I wasn't. I didn't do the Kickstarter. Like I was telling you before the show started, I started looking around for a way to play Simbaroom.
Yes.
But I didn't see a lot of that, and so I was looking into some of the various alternatives. But I wasn't really. I'm like, that's a lot of money for what I really wanted, and so I just did an organic Google search for open source virtual tabletops, and I think Aaron's Reddit Reddit page was like the third hit down. So I started poking around in there, and that led me to that, and then pretty soon after that, I was on board.
Yeah,
on board with it.
Real quick.
Yeah,
It's a great time. You know, it makes me feel good. It's like, yes, I did something.
Yeah, awesome. No, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Well, you know, you've got a good product when someone finds it and then all of a sudden says, "Okay, I want in on this." You know, and they buy into it right away, because I mean that shows that there's a demand and a need for this product.
Yeah, and it's wonderful too, because I put a lot of time, a lot of effort into this, and you know, when somebody is so eager to help support the project, it's worth more than the money. Almost.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I need the money to pay the rent, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, no, I totally, as a content creator, I totally get that. You're doing it.
Yeah,
because,
you guys get it on YouTube, I'm sure.
You know, we totally dig the products that we're you know, it's not like we're not these million, 1,000 subscriber, channels. We're just doing it because we want to help folks make their projects get a little more notice and a little more popularity. Get them a little more popularity, because we dig them, and that's exactly what it is. We're not doing this for fame or for money or anything. We're doing it because you got a mission. We love the products that we're showcasing.
Yeah,
I know Josh does that on his channel as well.
Absolutely, love the game. So any way that can make the game better.
Yeah, and likewise, guys, because GM Forge is a really flexible character sheet structure. So like adding new systems, adding new content, stuff like that, really easy. So like with these automated notes, presentation becomes easier, which I think could be a really awesome thing for YouTubers and streamers, both to kind of get access to, because I think that goes unnoticed, and it could make your guys's viewers more interested and engaged, because all the you'll lose some of the dead time, because you'll be able to just kind of step through and people can read it as they need. Like open book. If you guys need something built, come to me.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. You might regret that you made that offer, but we're probably going to take you up on that.
Definitely do, because it's a challenge to me. Like I'm definitely interested. So
now, as a self-proclaimed, and I'm going to lump Michael in with this statement, Kickstarter addict.
Yeah,
I think do we carry that label, Michael? Are we actually admitting it that we have a problem at this point?
Well, yeah. The first thing is that you admit that you had a problem and your life is unmanageable, and that's what it is. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, because I always like to talk to folks that have put a Kickstarter campaign on. How was your experience running a Kickstarter?
My first Kickstarter. Oh man, it was tough. It was definitely tough.
I can just imagine. I know how it is in like the RPG / board game, that demographic.
Yeah,
I know it's a little bit different for like technology for digital products. So how is that for you?
So the Kickstarter was a lot of learning for me. I started it under the gaming side, because I think that's where it fit best. Because when you get into software, it's more of like like business oriented stuff, or like like maybe like personal home automation or something like that. But the Kickstarter for me it was my first attempt at really trying to get my vision out, because like I said, I've done a lot of projects in the past and they've kind of all just fizzled out without any real traction, because I mean, like, you guys haven't heard of me yet, because it's marketing is insane. It's tough.
It's expensive. It's tough,
and it's a lot of work, and it's so necessary. But getting your message out, that was a big shock to me at the Kickstarter, because I've been a developer for a while, and you get kind of locked up in that mindset, and you're like, oh yeah, I can develop, so I can market. And I got definitely taught some lessons through doing the Kickstarter, but it was a lot of fun. It really was, because it took me out of my comfort zone. I was I was connecting with people. I was talking to interested people who are trying to just fun projects. You guys, like you said, you guys are Kickstarter addicts. You guys are the blood of my project, right? You guys are the blood of all these projects. And
sure.
Tabletop gaming too is it's so neat. I mean, it's not as niche as it was before, but like definitely some of the games I'm sure you guys play is very niche.
Yeah.
And like D&D is getting a lot of popularity, which is awesome, because it's going to bring some spotlight to this industry. But I love people like you guys. You guys can get on board with the vision, even if I can't communicate it perfectly. And then you wind up a year later with with GMForge. So
no, that's awesome.
It was great meeting everybody, and big shout out to my Kickstarters. You guys made the projects come to life. So appreciate it.
Now, I know that I checked out the Kickstarter before. I checked it out a few days ago, so I don't have it right in front of me. What was your funding goal that you came to Kickstarter with?
So my funding goal for this project was like, I believe it was $8,000 if I'm going off memory.
Wow.
And we ended up with about, I think, 9,400, roughly around that range.
I knew 9,000 was a number that I was trying to keep, I tried to keep in the back of my mind, but
yeah. So, I figured, I was kind of looking at it. I looked at, some of the other Kickstarters of people who'd made tools like this. And, I was only one guy. I had a lot less of the cost and things like that. So I was definitely very eager. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
And I honestly don't think I performed that well with the Kickstarter in terms of communicating my vision. It still shocks me to this day how giving everybody is on Kickstarter, and how much they're like willing to back you without like guarantee that something's going to happen. And it's funny too, because people will come to you like an investor. They'll come to you and they'll ask you, like, what do you want to build? And it's real interesting for me, because I've never done anything crowdfunding, anything like that before. So it was a very interesting experience.
Sure. Now, did you do any pre-Kickstarter like hype at all? Like, how did you approach Kickstarter? You just went at it just blind.
Yeah,
wow.
That's how this project has kind of gone, because I don't have a very broad network of like really talented people, so it's kind of like I'm just a guy. I'm just like I'm
just a guy.
Yeah, I'm just a guy, and I was like, you know what? I want this to exist. How can I make that happen? And so, I got on the internet. I made a prototype. I did a couple of posts to Reddit before the Kickstarter, and from there, I kind of just started to keep using Reddit, right? And that's probably why you guys never heard of me, is because I kind of just stuck to that area because it was working, and I was so concerned about the project and where I'm going to put my time, and all the while this is going on, I'm developing it like a mad crazy speed. So it was just like a lot of stuff in a lot of directions, and it's crazy.
That's awesome. I know with most Kickstarters, there's a whole bunch of, you build all that hype and everything going into, as you're about to launch, and then you hit the launch, and then all of a sudden, you get that 1 day funding, and it's just crazy, and then it kind of tapers off, and then at the end it picks up. How did your funding, like, how did that go throughout your Kickstarter?
So it was nerve-wracking. It was really nerve-wracking. Once I started the Kickstarter, the first couple, they say, what you read on the Kickstarter site and like the official resources is like, most projects that get their resources, get like 20% funding, I think, in the first first 5 days or something like that will be a success.
Okay.
And by like day 3, I was only at like $1,000, or not even. I think I was only like $600. I'm starting to get really nervous, and it's funny because it's like day 3, right? You have a whole campaign to go,
Sure.
and yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
Then I got one guy basically showed up, and he's like, I love this, and he bought like he pledged for like $500, and it was just, that was like the kick. Yeah, it's like out of nowhere. I was like, I don't even have a full. It's not even finished. Like it's just wild to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pledged $500, and it just like it gave me such a boost of energy. I was like, yes, all right, somebody likes it enough to pledge that much. Somebody can see what I see, and so from there, I was just hustling and hustling and hustling, and then, you run into the mid campaign taper, and you start to get all nervous again, and so. But once you hit the last couple of days, you start letting people know, our Kickstarter's come to a close. The people who are really interested come back, and they're like, the people who have been watching it develop for the last, month. I think the Kickstarter was. I think it was 40 days.
Oh, 40 days. Okay, nice.
Yeah, I ran a little bit longer because I figured I'd be, running through some hoops, and I definitely did.
Sure.
So
no, I mean it worked. So I mean that.
Yeah,
you can't
right?
say that it wasn't a bad decision. So that's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like once you come towards the end, and had I not been developing as hard as I was and doing the same thing and just hustling really hard, it probably would have gone the wayside, and we wouldn't have what we have today.
That's awesome.
So
that's very cool. I always like to hear it's awesome to hear that like somebody used Kickstarter kind of the way I think Kickstarter envisioned it would start.
Yeah.
It would be work you used as, instead of now. I mean, and I have no knock. This is no knock against the board game community or the board game industry or the RPG industry or anything of any of those projects. But originally, I think this is kind of what Kickstarter was meant for.
Absolutely.
Just somebody with a dream that says, "Okay, I'm going to put this up and."
Absolutely.
See if I can make my dream a reality. Yeah. And no, I think that's really, really cool thing.
So Doug, when did you get involved in Kickstarter?
When did I get involved in Kickstarter? Yeah. Let me take a look here. I'm a super backer, so I mean that's
no, but what year?
I'm taking a look. I can't even remember. I've got to scroll through my hundreds of Kickstarter campaigns.
And this goes back to what you were talking, just the point you're talking about. Somebody like Aaron taking his dream and trying to get it done.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you it was 2007 when I first backed a app.
No kidding.
Yeah, like way got. Well, look at me. I'm old.
No, you're not. You're not old. Come on, man.
But yeah, 07. It was an app the guy put out. It was called I think it was 1 second or something like that. And the idea was you took a quick snapshot, kind of like Vine. You took a quick snapshot every day, and then at the end of a year, it stitched it all together and gave you like just a look of what your year was all about. It was really kind of cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that was. And if I can interject another thing, Doug. So Aaron, you've got you started Kickstarter, you started doing the development, and you talk a little bit about development on Reddit, but you also have a GitHub repository that you do. And what's the it looks like to me from looking at your GitHub repository that most of this is coded in JavaScript. No,
that's correct.
Node.js, yeah.
Yep. So I did a Node.js backend. I did. Well, depending on where you look, because the web server is a little different, and I haven't open sourced that because it's more so I have to protect everybody's data. So there's a lot of security that goes around with it. But the general idea was I just used Node.js. I used JavaScript for the front end, and I used this thing called Electron, which lets you take a Node.js server and put it onto a desktop application. So that's how the Mac build is possible. Yeah.
And I believe your GitHub repository is I hope I pronounced that right. Nubulator, right?
Yeah.
Nubulator, and then it's GM forged -core. You can go you can either contribute to the code there, or if you wanted to clone it and start working on it on your own, you could do that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can do all this for free too if you can't afford it. So, you know, like I said, the project's really about, you know, just getting people, you know, tools to make their sessions better. So the only reason you'd want Steam is if you want to be hooked into the modding community and get that workshop support, like, easily.
Yeah, I mean, I love open source project, and that's really admirable that you know, that's a lot of time and effort spent on doing that and giving back to the community.
I was gonna say, for that $9,000, I'm assuming that, you know, if you averaged the hours against that 9,000, it's probably way. We don't even probably want to do that math.
You probably don't want to do that. Sometimes I don't want to do it, but you know, you pay for knowledge and you'll learn. You know, as long as you're open to learning, you know. And I'm just like I said, I'm really thankful to my community and the Kickstarter community that backed me, because they're understanding. They get you. You know, I'm only, when I started the project, I was 22, so now I just turned 24, and you know, I had to learn.
Michael, I don't remember when I was 24.
I have vague memories of being 24.
No, I think I purposely don't remember what it was like being 24.
Yeah, it was a little while ago, but yeah, well, look at how much you've accomplished. And
that's
has been quite the ride, I'll tell you.
It's because I believe you somewhere I read, either you told me or something like that, you left your full-time job to pursue this full-time. Yeah.
Did you really? Okay, no, wait a minute. I was going to bring this up, but I didn't want to. I you know, because a lot of people, you know, do work. You know, like me, I have a day job, and then I do this at night. So I was going to kind of bring this up, but this is your full-time job.
This is, I'm that guy, right? I'm the guy who's like, I have a dream, and then totally leaves his job and goes to pursue it. Yeah,
that's awesome. Good for you, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, it's been quite the ride, and I definitely would do it over again. You know, it's funny because it's kind of been. It's definitely unexpected where you end up going with it. You know, you think it's going to be one way, and then it's like totally different. I never imagined the product to come this far. I really didn't. But, you know, with the support of the community, and, you know, hopefully I'm not, you know, I want to be just giving credit to them because they really helped keep the project alive.
Absolutely.
Well, I know that even though you're on the East Coast, you put in a lot of time because you're always on Discord.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's one thing. It's like.
And there's a lot of people on there that ask a lot of difficult questions. You have a really supportive community that does a lot of the play testing, and it looks like they're helping out some of the maybe.
They've been like, without them, the product, you know, GM Forge would not be as user friendly as possible, because I got to be honest with you, when I started the Kickstarter, I didn't know how to make things, you know, user friendly.
Yeah.
But now stuff it's really shaping up, and I'm proud of it.
Because you're an engineer. You think engineer things. Yeah.
Speaking of Kickstarters, Kit Sterling Stratton, I don't know, he says, I helped kickstart the Kickstarter. So awesome, Kit. That's awesome.
He has been awesome in all of this. He's really held my feet to the fire when I'm, you know, exhausted and like, I'm like, I just can't get this to work, and you know, he's really been at the forefront of play testing. So, you know, shout out to Kit, man. You made this thing what it is. I appreciate that.
That's cool. So, do you want to? Can we do a little bit of screen sharing? And
absolutely. Actually,
pictures of GM Forge.
Yeah, I have it set up here. So.
I know Josh is. I got a chance to look at it the other day and kind of poke around on the website of it. I know Josh was curious to see what it all looks like, because you know, this is something I think Josh could totally use.
Yeah, so let me just bump it up. All right, can you guys see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, we see a church.
Yeah, so all right, so what we're looking at right now is just a slideshow for basically sharing images and just displaying stuff to everybody in the session, just in case you're running just a narrative campaign, right?
Okay.
So basically what we're looking at right here is it's it's like the general layout. So right here, I've got a bunch of my actors, which are usually characters, but they can be anything from like crates or vehicles or anything like that. It's really flexible what you can do with the actors. You can you can open up what's inside of the actor, and then you can see like their inventory. Here you see like the spell book, and then like their skills. Now, what you're seeing right here is actually a module I made for testing called the Dungeon's End and Dragons, 5th edition.
Ah.
Okay.
The reason I did that is it basically lets me be a little bit more free with the mechanics. Generally, I just try to keep it similar enough where like you'll know what's going on and you could like learn from it if you want to build your own system. But it offers most of the familiarity you'd see in 5th edition. It's just not officially 5th edition because then there's some things that come down to sharing that I don't think people who are like want to share stuff with this would want to be subject to. It depends though. So here you'll notice that like you have everything you need, like stats, and these will highlight, which I can click on to roll them in chat. It'll say tested dexterity. Everything you'd expect from a virtual tabletop: dice rolling, automation, inventory, keeping track of your world, maps, all these things. Now, one of the things that's, I think, pretty cool about GM Forge is the way I handle automation is, you can roll something here and then you can just click on it and then you can drag it in here and then you can actually customize these actions you see right here.
Sweet.
So you could put in your own too. So if you'd want more automation, you can make your own, and then using the macro language, you can do different things like applying normal damage or something, which you'll notice takes away his hit points up here. And it's all open to the user. So like this is really awesome when it comes down to more crunchy games like we were mentioning earlier, Shadowrun or Dark Heresy, which I found to be really cumbersome to run the combats in. So what we're looking at here is actually an adventure module I have up on, I will have soon up on the Steam Workshop. It's called The Rose and Orchard. It's just a little intro adventure that has a bunch of maps. It's got my notes. Here you'll see like the adventure preview, which has like a summary of the adventure, and then it's got a link to the next, the start. You can connect all your notes together. You can connect to like different characters. You'll see here, I can just pull up a character directly from my notes and it'll show up here. And this interconnection of just having like everything, like I had mentioned earlier, kind of having that screenplay, you'll notice some of the stuff like highlights. As I'm reading to my players and narrating my adventure, I can do things like change the background so everybody sees this while I'm talking, right? And because all it takes is a simple click, I don't have to stop.
And that's hyperlinked right there.
Right there. So if I wanted to go in and change this stuff, I can just jump in here and make my changes. And once I'm done, I can jump back and then have like a finalized script for me to read.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's
so
really cool.
And then there's like special effects you can do too. So like I can go black and then I can do fade in, right? So you can kind of set the mood a little bit more too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If you want to invert it and make kind of like a just to catch your player's attention, you can do stuff like that too. So I could go on forever. So, feel free to cut me off.
Yeah, no, I'm just soaking it all in because it's just really cool.
Yeah, this is really awesome.
So Aaron, excuse me, Doug, if you want to.
Go.
I'm particularly interested in also setting music, and you have a media button up there.
Yes.
And then, we're sharing this over for Hangouts. I mean, you don't have integrated video or anything like that, do you? Or
I do, but the way browsers work, so I did end up writing voice and video chat, but the only problem with it is that when you run, so because the way GM Forge works when you share with users is they basically just open up a web browser and join you. It's really easy, really convenient. But it comes down to browsers don't let you actually use the webcams unless you are on a secure site.
Right. Okay.
So that you'd end up having to own your own copy of GMForge to take advantage of the voice and
then
video.
run a server with SSL.
No, you wouldn't even have to do that because
No?
Electron just runs like a native browser inside.
Okay.
So it gets to ignore some of that security constraints. And
All
you can basically just take your own copy of GMForge and then hit join game and then just paste the URL in there.
Okay.
And then you get the
I'm going to go really in the weeds on that.
Go for
On that. You ever give any idea, any thought to making something like an Amazon appliance, so somebody could spin that up in a machine image? They could just spin up a GMForge server.
Oh yeah, like having a separated server, right?
Yeah, you could just,
Yes.
you could have it spin it up. You use it, and that'd be pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
like
I'm
you
getting my code geek on here.
Yeah. So with the standalone version right now, you could probably do that. I'm definitely moving to something like that in the future because the way the web version works, it's exactly like that, right? You pop in and the code's pretty much the same. But I would just have to go through it, and like right now, I just have to make a couple of changes to make sure that like the assistant master role is working, so you can have like a co-DM or something like that.
Nice.
And then I would just have to make a quick change to like make it so that like you could join as the GM, right? So that's definitely a feature I want to get to in the future. And it's definitely, I wouldn't say far off.
Yeah. Well, putting it up there on as a AWS or something like Heroku or something like that would give a lot of beefiness to using the server.
Yeah.
To host a lot of people and get a lot of speed. Whereas if you're using it locally on your local machine, having somebody connect in, you're kind of tied into the constraint of your local machine.
Absolutely.
Some of us have beefier machines than others, but yeah. I'm
well,
sorry.
Luckily, it's not super demanding because there's no actual, well, without bogging down with technicals, it's pretty kind to your machine. But the actual, like when you start getting into dynamic lighting, that's where it gets a little bit more demanding on the client side. If you were just running it as a server, yeah, you'd need a very small server to run it. The client, it's a little bit of a different story because you're running all the visuals. It's not like you're not playing Crisis, but
yeah. Yeah. I interrupted you when you were going to talk about music and stuff too. So.
Oh yeah, no problem. So yeah, with this you can use all your files. I got the files tab here. I got a bunch of art. I've got, my campaign notes organized. We've got a bunch of tokens, things of that nature. But you can do the same with music. So you could add your own music tracks, and then you could put them in and stack them up so you can play like a collection of music at once, stop it all at once. You can add in individual tracks. And it's really not restricted to, if you have the music file, go for it. Right.
Is there any way to hook into something like tabletop audio or?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
In fact, I actually talked to him, but unfortunately, he's got a deal going on with a competitor, and as you can imagine, I'm probably not the most professional of people, just because I'm learning by doing.
Yeah.
So I think he was just a lot, really busy, and the thing with doing what he does is you have to host it all, so you got to pay all the servers, and
yeah. Well, there's good thing is there's a lot of open source tracks that you can get that are really cool for using.
What's funny about the tabletop audio stuff is with GMForge, you can link websites. You can take your notes and you can turn them into websites, or like basically link them to a website, and then you could use the website inside.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of other features too I'll get to later, but, not only can you use your own files, you can share them with people. And a big feature I like about this is like you can take a PDF you own and you can start bookmarking pages, and your players can just click on it and go see the page. And this is all done through the resource page, which is like a place to store a bunch of, adventure resources or classes or something like that. And it's super useful. It came from one of the guys in the community. So you know, it's a great feature. But going back to your tabletop audio thing, if you don't have music right there, you can just go on YouTube and you can search like fantasy
Epic gaming.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I saw Mariah Carey come up. I mean,
and you
Rick
can
Astley? No.
let's see music. Oh yeah, there's Mariah Carey. I mean, I guess that might fit in some campaigns.
no.
But you can just pop open a YouTube video and share it with your group.
That's
So
cool.
Nice.
yeah,
That's
you know?
awesome.
We could play. You can have your gaming group watch old episodes of VCG.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
No, nobody wants to listen to those though.
Oh, you never know. I mean, if
Yeah.
you guys are just idling, you know, waiting for a session to start, and people are early.
Yeah. That's true.
So
I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
that's
mean-
really, really cool.
ton of stuff in here. Like here you'll see there's a dynamically lit map I built, and this map is completely built in the game. This is not a piece of art. This is a bunch of pieces of art that you can, you know, use the map builder to build with. So like I can drop tiles, I can rotate them. You know, you can do all sorts of stuff, and you can add more too. If you know, as time goes on in the Steam community, I expect people to start adding, you know, new tile sheets, new music, mods, all this stuff. And that's really what the push is right now, is to try and make that really easy to do.
Sure. So
So-
Josh does all this stuff physically. He makes dungeon tiles and all this stuff and terrain and everything. He crafts all this stuff. I can just
awesome.
imagine what he could do digitally with this type of product.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, and you got into it. I was like, I craft everything, you know, these dungeon tiles. It'd be awesome to have a system where I can make the custom dungeon tiles and then I can put them together virtually.
Yeah. I mean, like if you have all the artwork scanned, you can implement them like on your own. Like all that, like I've made a big focus to make sure that people can add their own content, and that's part of it, right? So if you have all those scanned, or if you you know, want to get new digital tiles in, it's as simple as dropping a thing into your files and then, you know, adding a new tile sheet. And yeah, it's definitely got a ton of potential for just using a lot of your content. And like I said before, that's really what's been a big motivating factor. It's like a lot of these other guys, you know, they're not really open to that because then they can't sell you more or something.
Right.
You know, they get bogged down. It's like, it's not about you as the consumer. It's about, you know, what can I you know, I can't share PDFs with people because that means I can't sell you more modules on this platform or something like that. And you know, it's been, you know, like I said, it's really all about the user, all about you as the GM, the average guy.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I mean, like there's a bunch of like little features that I think are really cool to show.
Sure.
You know, like we had mentioned before, the system building and stuff. Here you can open up any sheet, and you can go and you can edit individual fields. So you can go down to individual levels and add like new fields if you want, just on the fly. Like here you can see, I can see all my like my constitution, my strength, all these things. I can just insert something here, and it'll add right in here. And you can do a lot more, like all this inventory and things. It's all built in these sheets.
How easy is it to make a compendium of character sheets and other things that you'd want to do? I mean, you've got this is 5e-esque.
Yes,
And,
5e-esque, yeah.
And you know, if somebody wants to, you know, do another game,
Say
Symbaroum or Black Void or something like that, or you know, just one of the other games. How easy is it to actually create something like that?
Once you make the actors, once you basically create your own stuff, you can just pop in here. You'll notice I have some of the SRD content already imported. And you can make a new module. and then you enter in the name, and then you'll end up with one of these, which you can just enter in. Like here, you'll notice I've got some of my actors from this adventure because I was using it to import from my web version. You know, I can open them up, and then you'll see their stat sheets, and you can add them in just simply by dragging and dropping if you want. Like here, you just be like, oh, I want Luther in here, right? And now I can create Luther anytime I want. Just drag him out, and then you'll see he gets created here right for you. And so you can do this with items, you can do this with maps, you can do this with notes, you can do this with all sorts of content, all the content you'd be using. And then as soon as you're done with that, if you want to share it with, let's say you're playing collaboratively, right? I know occasionally you'll see this scenario where you have like 3 GMs and they're all running their own sessions, but they want to be in the same world.
Right.
You could create a module and share it on the Steam Workshop and have everybody contribute to it. And then you all have the same like monsters and items and things like that across your games, which I think is pretty awesome. And I don't think that's being addressed, you know, other places.
No, I can see how you could definitely create a fantasy setting, a world, and then people are doing their own things, and it just continues to build and build.
Yeah, along those lines, I actually ought to show you the features you have to connect maps together. So, you know, you can create images and you can create maps, and you can create characters and all this stuff, but you can also link them together. So like here you'll see I just connected this map, and then I can enter into the location, and then it takes me to the other map.
That's awesome.
And what's even better is you can set a parent map, so then you can zoom out to go to like a world map, right? And then now I'm in I could be in like the world map here. In fact, let me just go ahead and make one real quick to show you guys how awesome and how interesting like it is to, or like
I can kind of hear the gears spinning in Josh's head right now.
Yeah,
you see the smoke coming out of my headphone.
And you can just go in and pop in a map. Like here's the basin, right? And then I could assign a token to it. Let's see what I got. I'll just pick something random. God. Right, so I'll pick like an angel, because in this adventure you actually end up going and waking up the blessed well, right? And then you can zoom into it, and then it takes you to this location, and then you know
this would be perfect for. I wonder something like this would be perfect for Mutant Year Zero or any grid type of map. But yeah. I know we talked about Michael and I were talking about that earlier. But I know with that system, there's a grid map, and this would be, oh my God, I can't. Yeah, there's a couple of groups that of some systems that I definitely need to share your product with, because I think it would be really, really cool.
Yeah, just the continuity of the storytelling, having those all connected is a fantastic feature. You know, you can go from one level to the next level, or you can go from the outside of a town to that coupled with that whole notes thing with the hyperlinks and all. That's just amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, and once you start getting more advanced too, you can break this down in like you can have things disappear automatically based off of like whether or not they're the hunter class or something like that, because you have access to the macro language, and it's really powerful. It really is, because it lets you do so many things that I can't explain in the time that we'll be doing this, but and plus too, like you have all these options to just grab information as soon as you need it, right? Because like on these tokens, I have them linked to my monsters, and if I need their sheet real quick, I can just pop in and open it up, or
There's nothing worse than having to look up stats in a book and
believe
take
me,
2 minutes.
Yeah, like when I was playing Dark Heresy and we're playing in person, we'd have like a 5-on-5 combat. It would take an hour, and that came down to the math. It came down to like flipping through the book to find the stats, and it just does. It kind of kills the pacing of your game. Yeah. And when you're the story, like when you're running a pre-made, that's a little bit less. It's a little less hurtful as a GM because it's like it's not your love and effort put into it. But
so to even cut down on time through my games, I create these little monster cards. So this system that you have would be amazing. That would cut down even on, because I still gotta. All right, where's that monster at?
Yeah.
So I mean, this cuts down, but this would like
you just click a button, boom, it's there.
And eliminate that.
Yeah. So yeah, and it also has card support right now. I only have normal decks, so like you basically deal cards.
Yeah.
Just normal standard playing cards, but the system's robust enough that once I get some time to put towards the card system, you could add your own. Like check out the card, and then you can display it to other people by just pushing it up. And like we were mentioning earlier, the card game based tabletop games could be a totally playable through the system.
There's a couple there. We featured Familiars of Terra, which is coming out the beginning of next year, and then also the Versus Stranger Stuff and the M versus M engine stuff that Fat Goblin Games does. This would definitely be something that they would benefit from those systems.
And I mean, you guys are really hooked into the Kickstarter stuff, but like, if you want to throw my name out to those guys, and if they want to get a system just built for them, I'm more than willing to do some experiments with it. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot in this. Like, it's got weather, it's got all sorts of stuff.
What?
Man,
yeah,
what?
It's got weather. You have time of night, daytime, things like that. If you need like
where's my wallet?
It has a calendar. Like, if
Josh, where's my wife's purse? That's what I need.
Yeah.
So
Josh,
like
$25.
I know.
Isn't this ridiculous?
This is ridiculous. Yeah, it is
$25. And it's a labor of love, guys.
It's beautiful so far. I mean, what you've shown us is just awesome.
Oh yeah, I forgot to show you guys this. It's a little nice feature.
You mean there's more?
Yeah,
but wait, there's more.
If you don't want things on your screen, you can just throw them off on the side, and when you need them, you pull them up.
Look at that.
It's kind of a minor thing, but it's like I've noticed screen clutter in these tools is a real problem. So like,
yeah, for those of us who have more than one monitor too, those are detached, right? I could put them on my second monitor.
So you can open up a separate tab in your browser.
Okay.
It gets a little weird. Yeah, it gets a little weird because because it's one window. I haven't quite figured out how to do that with Electron yet, but
I could just open up separate tabs and just
you can open up another tab and join as the GM, or you can rejoin as a player if you need. And like let's say you're playing with a TV on your gaming table, right? You could just open up, join as a player, and then your dynamic lighting will all be a player's vision.
Somebody's mind just got exploded.
65-inch screen right there. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
That little thing back there.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So a lot of work has gone into this, and like I said, the guys at the community, they're the ones who pushed me to make it this.
Wow.
Yeah, well, Aaron, now I've got a lot of tutorials and stuff I need to create for you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that today.
Yeah,
that's
why I got this mic.
Yeah,
just for this, right?
Yeah.
Just for the. Hopefully, we'll also put it to use here on a little bit more on the channel too, Michael.
Yeah.
I know we talked about that. But like I wrote this whole adventure for an intro thing. So sometime if we want to get together and run something on you guys' channel, that'd be awesome.
I would love to do that. Let's make sure that we put that in like after we'll let you have your Steam launch. Make sure everything goes smoothly for that. And then once that thing is clear sailing, let's hammer something out and figure out sometime next month to have a session featuring GM Forge.
Oh, that'd be awesome! Yeah, that'd be great. And all GM, so you guys can finally, take a seat back.
Yeah, I want to play in that one.
and actually get to play and mess up the railroad.
No, we wouldn't do that.
Of course not.
No, not at all.
You've evidently seen some of our shows before.
Yeah, I went on your guys' channel. I made sure to take a look.
Very cool. Let's see here. We do have some chat going on. Let's just take a look here. So, Thieg says system neutral. Oh, looks like Sparkerdom says it is. You can create your own character sheets. Let's see. Anyone remember the? Okay, Kit says. Kit asked. Anyone remember the VHS Mystery Party tapes? You could do something like that, only like the old Clue VCR game. So yeah, I guess you have a whole nother aspect of GM Forge. With,
I mean, it's really a tool that kind of gives you a lot of freedom creatively, right? I just create tools, and I just have been, continuing to create tools that I think are useful and that the community thinks is useful, and how you use it. That's kind of that's part of the fun. You get to kind of figure out what it can do, and what you can do with it, and yeah,
that's amazing. So my question for you, Aaron, now you've got this $25 charge.
Yep.
Do you and right now it's mostly fantasy based?
Yes. Actually, before we go into that, I actually have 6 systems that I built. 6
systems. Okay.
Yeah. So 2 are fantasies for the popular fantasy games. I'll let you guys leave that to your imagination. And then there's 1 for a more crunchy game I've run in the past.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of sheets that resemble the bigger games. So they're just samples, but with the system builder and the ability to create sheets and being able to change, the mechanics of how a system runs, it's system neutral.
Okay, so you can kind of put in whatever kind of setting you want. You could do, post-apocalyptic. You could do sci-fi. You could do anything you wanted in this system.
Yeah. It really just comes down to, if you want a sheet, all you gotta do is build it. And I made a really. I'm trying. One of the big things we're pushing for right now is. Really making that system building aspect approachable, because that's something that is going to be huge. Because sometimes I actually built a system, hero-based system, and I used a combination of the Star Wars Genesis dice with my own crunchy mechanical system, and I built it all in GM Forge, and we just play that from time to time. It's not even official, or it doesn't have a rule book. It's just hey, I think this is how the system should work, and let's go give a shot at it. So
let's see here. Joseph Peterson asks, do the maps support hex grid types? Because this is good, because I was actually before we came on, I was talking with Michael about how I've been reviewing and taking a look at the beta version of Forbidden Lands, which is being published by Free League, and that uses a hex grid map system, which is really cool. And I would love to use Forbidden Lands in this system, because I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, so hex grids are really close to being done. I actually had them working in the past, but when I rebuilt the maps for performance, I kind of had them fall to the wayside because I was focusing on all this other stuff. But you should see them by release or soon after. They're they're around the corner. And actually, that for some reason that kind of jarred my memory. But one of these things I wanted to show off is you can actually run. Do I have it? You can run. There's this guy who makes these cool maps called dynamic maps, but you can run animated versions of maps with sounds built into the files.
No.
So here you'll notice, the trees. Yeah, and you can do the same with tokens too. Now you'll notice right now it's kind of freezing because it's just buffering the video. But once it buffers, it goes perfectly fine. But yeah, tons of options. So
Joseph says, "Yay, BattleTech will live." Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, BattleTech would be awesome at playing this.
Yeah, I've actually gotten a lot of requests for like war games too, something like that, which is a cool option that I think I can explore in the future. But because I don't know, I'm really not familiar with the wargaming digital scene, but I don't know if you guys have done anything on the channel with that.
I not really. Yeah, no, I mostly just physical stuff. There used to be a game system back when I first started my channel called Golem Arcana. Josh maybe probably remembers this a little bit.
Yep.
But it was physical and digital, but it didn't have. Yeah, it wasn't anything that you could just fully integrate in online. You had to have the physical stuff for it as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really kind of ahead of its time, to be honest with you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Used like what was it? What, like a Bluetooth stylus, and you type you touch different bases and touch the tiles that were on, and it would feed it all to this app. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm excited for this. I can't wait to see. Unfortunately, I am a Mac user, which kind of limits me on some things, and maybe I should beef up my my computer systems and do something a little bit better, because the more
I plan on taking a crack at it. So not, all hope is not lost yet for Mac users.
Well, I'm excited to see what if that when that comes, because that'll be definitely something we'll definitely use a lot here on the channel.
Yeah.
Well, I plan on experimenting a little bit more with what kind of requirements you need for a virtual machine. How many cores you need to virtualize and RAM, and as long as you got a Mac that has enough RAM in it, you could probably use something like VirtualBox or VMware Fusion and run it in that as well.
Yeah, and plus as a Mac user, you can still join through using like Chrome or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're not just because you have a Mac as like a player, you're not out of luck.
Yeah, I used the web version the other day, because that was really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Jeremy R asks, you ought to ask Aaron about the layer system too. It's fairly robust.
Oh yeah. So like I said, we could sit here and talk for hours about this thing. Like I sometimes I can't even mentally keep track of how much stuff has been built in it. But the layer system in this, you can add just layers as you need, right? So I've got 3 layers by default. You get the background layer, the player layer, and then the GM layer. But you can make like trap layers, and you can activate them with traps. So like you can have how much time we got left?
We're a little over an hour, but that's okay. You can go for just a little bit. We'll keep it in extra innings a little bit.
All right. Well, I'll just.
I don't want Michael to burn his tri-tip though.
I've been flipping it, but it's getting up on the time. I got to take it out and let it rest a little bit.
I tell you what, just to be considerate of time, over at if you guys don't mind, on my, I'm not doing the GM Forge channel for like popularity or anything like that.
No, go for it. No,
but,
I was gonna ask you where folks can find you anyway. So
yeah, so on the GM Forge YouTube channel, I do a bunch of developer quick casts where we do fun stuff with like the layers, right? And part of that is you can make automatic traps that will roll to chat, will basically reveal players or open doors. So cool. If a player like steps on a trap in a dungeon, you can actually have that happen.
Yeah, you just did a video on that, didn't you?
Yes, I just did a quick cast video, which is over at the GM Forge YouTube channel.
Nice.
So if you want to actually see what the tool can do with me narrating like what I'm doing, I've got like I think 12 or so quick cast videos where I start to break down the most important features. I've tried to be as coherent as possible, but
it's all right.
You do a lot better than you give yourself
credit for. I do a ton of stuff, so it's like the quick cast is nice because I can kind of just hop on and do it.
Very cool.
And then people can see in action.
Very awesome. Well, that is awesome. I'm going to tell you, go check out the GM Forge the YouTube channel. Check out the website. It's gmforge.io. That's correct.
And keep an eye out for that Steam release, because you can already check out the store page, and May 31st.
May 3rd.
You've also got a Reddit,
yes,
the subreddit, and you also have your Discord channel too.
Yes, yeah. So the subreddit is /r Game Master app, and that's a little weird because that's what it actually started at. It started as Game Master. That was the original name.
Very cool. Very cool.
So,
and I think that's how I found you on Facebook as well. You do have a Facebook page.
Yes.
That is. It says GM Forge when
it's a little lacking in content, but yeah, you can check it out.
Right. You know, it's tough. You're only one person, just like me. You know, you can only go so many places online, and you keep up to date with so many places. So where, Aaron, besides future in a future episode on this channel, where else can folks find you? Where are you going to be coming up? Do you have any events you're going to be at? Do you have any big plans for GM Forge?
I plan on making some posts over on Reddit. I'll probably be hitting up a lot of the most popular subreddits just to kind of get the message out.
Sure.
What's related to the games. So you'll probably see some posts in the next couple weeks, talking about the release. But I spend most of my time over at the subreddit and on the Discord channel. So. Nice. You can also check out the Twitter if you want. It's got a lot of you can basically just follow how the development went. But that's been that's over at GM Forge app, I believe. See, I don't even know the handle, but I spend a lot of my time on the Discord and Reddit, and I just plan on seeing what I can get out there through Reddit, and I might try and hit up some streamers. I don't know.
Cool.
Like I said, the way this project started is the way it's still going.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I'm gonna after this session, I want to talk to you about a couple other things that I think I might be able to help you out with as well.
That'd be awesome.
And I think Josh knows what knows kind of where I'm heading with this in a little bit. But Josh and Michael, thank you so much for you guys giving up some of your night to come on and talk with Aaron and learn about GM Forge. And I know Michael was kind enough to kind of put this.
Shout out to Michael, man.
Michael, man. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, because this is a really, really cool product.
Yeah, well, thanks to Doug for having the channel, and definitely thanks to Aaron for putting this together, and labor of love and a lot of work, and it looks awesome. So
it does.
Thanks.
Good to meet you, Josh, too.
Yeah,
I can't.
Thank you.
It kind of blows away everything else that I've seen online, and I don't know. $25 is just a steal.
That's the intention, right?
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's awesome. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. I want to thank everybody. We had quite a few viewers, so thank you very much for those of you that joined us live. If you're watching this after the fact, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat, and I'll make sure to send them over to Aaron as well. This has been Victory Condition Game. That was a horrible outro. Well, this is what happens when you stream live. One thing I will say is, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. We're going to have GM Forge featured on the channel here later on, and hopefully Josh and Michael will join us for that session as well.
Absolutely.
Maybe you guys want to join in as players and come derail.
We'll pull in maybe another player or two that definitely will be up for it as well.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for everyone that joined us. This has been Victory Condition Gaming, because winning shouldn't be the only victory condition when you get to the table. We'll see you next time.
Yep.